Hi, my name's Laura and you're watching my channel, So Very Laura. So the Riley dungarees, my true bias that I have been making for the Busy Bee Challenge 2, which was the upcycling challenge, are finally finished, and spoiler alert, I absolutely love them. So I did a bit of a reveal-ish on the reveal day for the challenge at the end of October, but I said to you that for various reasons I hadn't managed to finish them. So I'm back today with a full pattern review, and as you can see, I am wearing them. So I will be putting some pictures up here to show some full-length images of the dungarees, and then a bit later on in the vlog I'll get changed so that I can show you various parts of it up front rather than trying to sort of do that while I've got them on. So I've got my notes written down, so if you see me at various points kind of leaning over, it's probably because I'm trying to see my book, particularly in the second part, because obviously I'll have to hold the dungarees as well. So apologies if I look like I'm looking away. I'm not ignoring you, I promise. Right, so the Riley dungarees, as I mentioned, are by True Bias. So here are my printed out pattern instructions, and I chose to make this view, which is the one that's full length. I think that one is view, but yeah, that's view B. So fairly straight leg dungaree, and then there's the shorts version, which is view A. So I chose to make the longer length version. It's winter here in the UK. I'll get a lot more wear out of a longer length, and when I was younger I just loved to wear dungarees, so yeah, I decided I wanted to make the longer lengths. So let's talk first of all about sizing and fabric. So when I made these, my measurements put me in probably about a size 10 for the bust, which was 37.5 inches, 95 centimeters, and then on the waist I would think a 33 inch, 84 centimeter waist, that's a size 12, and then on the hip I was somewhere between 41 inches and 42.5. My hip measurement is going down, but it does fluctuate a bit, so I was between a 12 and a 14. Now the pattern instructions suggest that if you are between sizes you size down, so based on that, in theory I probably should have made a size 12 on the hip and then maybe size down on, certainly on the chest, but also maybe on the waist to a size 10 from a size 12. However, I read a pattern review, I think it was on the Fold line, which is where I bought the pattern from, and I saw that it suggested that actually the person who'd made them felt that they could have done with a little bit more fabric on the bib. So I decided that because most of my chest measurement is in the front, I'm quite narrow at the back and I've got a larger bust, that I would just go for a straight size 12. So I was sizing down on the hip and a bit on the waist maybe, but going for slightly bigger on the bib, on the bust, and that's proved absolutely fine. In terms of fabric, the pattern suggests that you make them in a medium to heavyweight fabric with little or no stretch, so something like a denim or a twill. And as you will know if you've watched my earlier vlogs, which I will link to, I chose to make them in this fairly bonkers fabric. I'll try and put a shot of the fabric up here, which were sets of curtains that were in a batch of fabric given to me by a lovely neighbour probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and it is kind of quite a heavy fabric. And yeah, it doesn't have any stretch. So I think in terms of it fitting with what the pattern suggested, I think it works really well. So I'll pop some pictures up here of me in the dungarees. And if you're wondering where I am, I was really hoping to go and get some photographs taken outside today. But to be honest, the weather here in Wales has been pretty murky. And although it hasn't actually rained today, it's not great. So I decided that it would be better to get some photos taken inside. And what I'm actually standing up against is one of the walls in our new kitchen, which is very, very nearly finished. It's now at the point where we can actually use it as a kitchen. There's just a couple of bits to finish off. But yeah, it's great. So yeah, so I'm pretty happy with the fit on these. The only thing I would maybe do differently next time, and even then I think I'm going to make them in a slightly stretched fabric next time, more on that in a bit, is maybe I would take a slightly smaller seam allowance just round the bottom area, because just slightly they maybe feel a bit tight. But to be honest, it feels weird wearing dungarees again anyway, because I'm not used to this kind of feeling of being sort of held in with the braces and the bit at the back where the straps are. So it may be that I'll get used to it, and also once the fabric's been washed again, it may loosen up a bit. So it's only a very slight feeling. They certainly don't rip. I'm sat down and they're perfectly comfortable. So I will just see, and I'll take a view next time. The seam allowance on these is 1/2 inch. So I think, I could go down to 1/4 inch and then increase it again, getting up towards the waist. But it's not a big thing. So that's something really to think about. So I made these without any modifications on sizing. I'll talk you through, when I show you the dungarees up close, I will talk you through the changes that I did make in terms of the design. But yeah, I am so happy with them, and I hope that you enjoy finding out about how I got on making them as much as I enjoyed making them. And before I forget, don't forget to go and see how all the other busy bees got on with their challenge too, because I think everybody has got their vlogs up now, and we've all moved on to challenge 3. So I will go and get out of these, and then we can have a closer look at these amazing dungarees. See you in a sec. Okay, I'm back, and I now have the dungarees off so that I can show you a little bit more closely how they're made. If I show you the line drawing again, you can see this is the version that I decided I would make, but I did change a few bits and pieces on it. So the first thing that I did was I left off this is a small pocket here, like a small front pocket, which is sewn onto a larger front pocket, which is sewn onto the bib. And I decided, and then also the big pocket is divided into 2. So in the end, you end up with 3 spaces. And I decided I just wanted one large pocket. And the reason that I did that was because of the way that I'd managed to get the pattern to come out on the front pocket. And also, I mean, I can get my mobile phone in it fine, but I'm not likely to use it that often. And so I decided I was quite happy just with the one large pocket. And I'll show you that in a minute. The other thing I missed off was I didn't put belt loops on it. I said that I'd read a review on the fold line about sizing, and also that person had chosen not to put the belt loops on. And I kind of agreed, because I'm never going to wear a belt with it. So I just decided that I would miss those out. And it does suggest at the hem that you can roll the dungarees up. But it also does say if you don't want to roll them up, you can just hem them. So I did that, and I hemmed them at I think about 1.5 inches, and they're fine. So yeah, I decided I wasn't ever going to wear them rolled up. It's just not me. So yeah, I just put a hem on them. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, on the On the faux fly, if you look closely, you can see that there are bar tacks just there and there. So far, I haven't put those on. Those of you who did the sewing retreat in Worcestershire last year will remember bar tack gate on the faux fly on the itch to stitch Mountain View jeans, and I just wasn't going to go there because having had about 5 goes and getting it really wrong, I then watched a sew along from Itch to Stitch which said you don't need to do them if it's a faux fly because there's no added strength, so I wished I'd not bothered. However, just to prove that I can actually do a bar tack, there are bar tacks, little bar tacks here, so this is just to orientate you, this is the front bib here and the pockets, and it gets you to just sew down to reinforce that seam near the pockets. Can you see there? So you top stitch down and then you do a bar tack at the bottom. And so I did a bar tack at the bottom and it worked, and there's one on the other side as well, but they're just very small ones. But I decided it wasn't tempting fate and doing it on the faux fly as well. So they were the changes that I made, and I will also show you, as I just mentioned a minute ago, and I think I showed you this in my reveal-ish vlog, that's my front pocket. And I'm just so happy with that pattern matching, and I've managed to get the elephant right in the middle. So that's really why I decided I didn't want to do the small pocket and the top stitching to split it down the middle. I didn't fancy pattern matching a small pocket on top of a large pocket, and as I say, I don't think I would really use it anyway, so no. So you can see that I have kind of silvery buttons on it. So I've got silvery buttons, and then I have got matching silvery clips, and then these buckles that help you to adjust the length of the straps when they pull over from the back. Now, one thing that I probably would do when I make this again, and there will be a next time, talk to you a bit more about that in a sec, is I think I would make the straps a little bit shorter. So I mentioned to you in terms of fitting that I came up as a size 10 really in terms of bust, but I made a 12 in order to get more fabric on the bust. And hopefully you can see by the fit when I was wearing it earlier, and also when I've just shown pictures of it, I'll pop another pic in here. I think that was the right decision, but I think the straps are just really long on me because I'm not that big on my shoulders and my back. I've got quite a narrow back, so I think what I might do is just reduce the straps by maybe an inch and a half, 2 inches, just so I haven't got quite so much bulk floating about. That said, it could turn out to be quite useful because this top, which is ready to wear from, I think, Marks and Spencer, is quite close fitting and it's not very thick. But if I wear something else with it, like a thicker sweater, then I might need that room, but I don't think I'm going to need that much. So yeah, so I think the thing is to wear this for a few weeks and see how I go. One of the other things I've learned is I don't have anything that goes with this. So when I came to put it on to film this vlog and take the pictures, I thought, oh, I've got a cream top with a crew neck. No, I haven't. I've got a cream top with a V-neck. So that was the end of that one. I've got another one of these in pink, but I think that might have been a bit too much. I've just bought a brown top with a crew neck, which I bought because I couldn't go home when my husband had norovirus and I was running out of clothes. But I need to make some plain, probably long sleeve tops to go with it. Also maybe some plain t-shirts. And I have got jersey fabric to do that. So I think there may be a little flurry of t-shirt making, short and long sleeved in plain fabric, so that I've got ones that I can wear under this. So I know I've got some blue, and I've got some kind of like a rust terracotta colour, and I think both of those would go fine. So yeah, and I might make a cream one, or I might just buy one, we'll see. But yeah, I think I don't have very much to go with it, but I think there's a lot of scope for picking out colours from the pattern to go with it, because there's all sorts in here. There's green, and special for my lovely viewer Liz, who keeps putting in the comments that she thinks this guy is holding a hockey stick. It's not. It's a musical instrument, so hopefully on the close-up you can see that. So there we go, Liz. He's holding a lyre, but I do agree from a distance it does look as if he's about to go off and play hockey. And I'm not sure that's a lyre, but obviously some sort of stringed instrument. So yeah. So that is the front, really. And on the back, I think I might have mentioned this last time, I just put a little label on the back pocket there which says "you do you," and that's the only label I put on it. I did debate about putting one on the front pocket, and then decided it might not look so good, so I didn't. Okay, I'm just looking at my notes to make sure that I don't forget anything. So I told you about the dungaree buckles. Yeah, so the pattern instructions were great. I mean, if I show you here, I've got them here, so I printed them out because then I could, but I always print out on scrap paper. I've got some sort of articles on the back from when I was working. You'll see I've ticked off the steps as I go, but I found them really, really clear and incredibly accurate. So for example, when you attach the front bib to a waistband, and it is a bit confusing, and I did end up, there is a sew along which is quite useful for confirming things, and that's, I think in the pattern instructions it says they're on their blog, but actually they're also on YouTube, so I'll put a link to those. The waistband initially was a bit of a head scratcher, because the waistband actually is kind of on the inside, well, it is on the inside of the garment, you can see it's there, so you do end up with this bit of fabric right side up on the inside. You can just see my pockets there, which I made in a kind of yellow cotton. So that was a bit of a head scratcher, so the sew along was quite useful for that. Yeah, but when it talks about how you sew this in, it says that the waistband will overlap the front bib by 1/2 inch each side, and it overlaps the front bib by exactly 1/2 inch each side. It is absolutely spot on. So the pattern drafting is absolutely, really and truly nailed, and the extent of the clear instructions is even things like she tells you how you can finish off your seams and says, you know, you can use an overlocker, you can use an overcast stitch on your machine, you can use pinking shears, whatever you like. But sometimes when you're finishing your seam, you shouldn't trim them because you're going to need to do something else with it. And it even tells you, and it says finish seams without trimming. So it's great because, you know, I've watched lots of reviews of patterns on YouTube, and I'm sure you have as well, where people have said, and particularly Big Four, it doesn't tell me when to finish seams. So to have that level of detail, it always says finish this seam. And I found that really useful. I didn't, particularly in the initial stages, sew everything in exactly the order that it tells you to, simply to minimize the amount of time bobbing up and down to iron things. So, you know, like I put the pockets on the front bib and I put the pockets on the back legs at the same time, and then progress like that. So I did dot around a bit, but it was really easy to follow, really easy to see where I'd got to if I stopped sewing for a bit, which was great. So can really highly recommend the pattern. Lots and lots and lots of detail. Sorry, I'm just looking over at my notes again. Lots of basting as well, so that you can be absolutely sure you've got things lined up. So quite often she'll say, pin this and then baste it in place, so that then you can concentrate on sewing it properly, and you know it's not going to shift around, or it'll hold it while you do something else and then come back and top stitch. So brilliant. Lots of top stitching. If you hate top stitching, this is not the pattern for you. Although what you can do is what I will probably do next time, is you can not top stitch and sew your seams that are holding the garment in place. So like on my bib and where my waistband is, I've got top stitching here, which was a bit of a pain because my machine occasionally was playing up. You can see it's slightly wonky, it's not too bad. But what you can do, if you're not top stitching, you don't need to top stitch. You can just do it from this side, so you can make sure that you've caught everything down. And the next time that I make this, I am going to do it in Cobra corsage. So let me just go and get that and I will show you back in 2 secs. So here's my Cobra corsage, which, as you can see, black background, and it's a stretch canvas drill, I think. Obviously, well, not obviously if you've not seen it before, but Cobra corsage is Lady McElroy, so you can see, sorry if you don't like snakes or beetles, it's got the snakes and the beetles on. And this is such a busy pattern, again, actually. I don't think it will matter if I do a contrasting top stitch or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some Gutermann extra strong black thread, and I'll just do all the top stitching in that and not worry about top stitching as a thing. I might up the stitch length to 3, I don't know. But yeah, I'm not going to worry about using a contrasting top stitching thread. And as I say, that might be a way to go, particularly the first time you make these. If you're not keen on top stitching, just don't try it and just sew the seams neatly, because sometimes the top stitching is used to hold things in place. So for example, the pockets, just sew them on neatly and don't worry about trying to top stitch. So that's that. The other thing I didn't do, even on these, because experience has told me that my sewing machine, lovely though it is, does not like top stitching thread for buttonholes. So luckily I had a blue in the same colour pretty much. I mean, you can see there's my top stitching thread and there's my buttonhole. So what I did, I used ordinary thread and I simply sewed the buttonhole twice in the same place without moving the fabric. So that made it tougher, a bit more resilient. So that's what I did. You have to be careful because it can make it quite tight. So one of these is a bit stiff. The one that's still fastened is a little bit stiff, but it will come in and out. And I think once I've washed it, at the moment it's still got the fray check on it, and it's not been washed yet, so I think it will soften up and that will make it easier. So that's how I did the buttonhole. So the other thing that I learned was that not all dungaree buckles are created equal. So the first time that I tried these on, I tried them on using these dungaree buckles. Now for a start off, these are only 30mm wide, and the ones that I ended up with were 40mm wide, which actually is fine for the buckle. The clasp, but on the buckle I think I could have maybe done with 45 or even 50, because that really is quite wide. But you can see, and this is the version that the pattern recommends, so that you fold up the excess and then you stitch it down so it loops through. So you fold it, you put it round your buckle there in the fastening, and then you fold it round and thread it through the back of this buckle and then catch it down so that you can adjust it within this strapping, but it's not going to fall out. This one works differently. So this one, you simply put your fabric through there, and then it clips it into place, and it's got these teeth. Can you see on the back? It's got these teeth, but then you just end up with the fabric kind of flying all over the place, and nowhere for it really to go. So I ordered the ones that it showed on the pattern, and I think they make a much neater job of it. I'm sure these are fine if you've got much lighter fabric and much shorter straps, but I don't think they're going to work for something as heavy duty as this. So what have I learned? I've learned that my sewing machine can be a bit temperamental on top stitching. I kind of knew that before. It probably was even more so this time. And I don't know if that's me, whether I was using, I do wonder if I was using too bigger needle size, because I was trying to use 100. And actually towards the end, because I ran out of jeans needles that were 100 and went to using a 90, and actually it wasn't so bad. So maybe I had too big a needle size. Didn't seem to make much difference in terms of the quality of the top stitching if I used a top stitching needle or not. I don't know. So I have just had the machine service, so maybe there's something that's just not quite right and I need to get them to have another look at it. Or maybe it's me and I just need to practice top stitching on thicker fabrics a bit more. Although with my denim jacket, it wasn't really a problem. So we'll see. Jury's out on that one. I've also learned that sometimes my fabric was getting eaten at the very edge when I was trying to sew it. So particularly when, for example, I was attaching the waistband on the inside, because there wasn't very much room in terms of sewing these down, it kept getting kind of caught. So I have learned that one of the ways to reduce the chance of that is to use a straight seam needle plate, straight stitch needle plate, and that seems to help quite a lot. So that is my straight stitch needle plate, and that did help actually. So that is definitely a tip that I will be using again in the future. Yeah, and I learned that I need a ton of plain tops. Okay, so that is it on the Riley dungarees. I definitely want to make them again in the Cobra corsage, and I also want to make a plain pair. I would love to know from you, because I've always wanted to make dungarees because I used to love wearing them as a teenager and also, you know, at university. Are there any throwback patterns, items of clothing that you're really fond of from when you were younger that you would really like to sew up again today? So that's the first question. Let me know in the comments. Do you have anything that you've got a secret longing to wear, or even not a secret longing, just a longing to wear again that you'd like to make up? And the second thing is, I've now made the Rileys and I've made the Life So Savoury dungarees, which is a free pattern. Are there any other dungaree patterns that you can recommend and that you think I should try? So do please let me know in the comments. That would be great. And in terms of two things really, what's coming up on my channel, and also just quickly what I'm wearing since I got changed out the dungarees. I am wearing, as I said, ready to wear top from Marks & Spencer, but over the top of it I am wearing a hack of the Tilly and the Buttons Nora top. So this is, if I do that with it, you'll see it's the top, it's the one with the high neck, and I've made it in this leopard print fleece. I've got another one in this fleece which is the original Nora, but I hacked this. I actually originally made this for my mum, and I hacked it because she doesn't, or didn't should I say, like high necks, because they made her feel a bit kind of shut in. So I hacked it so that I essentially chopped the front in half, and the neck, added seam allowance, and put a zip in for her, so it's got a big heavy duty zip all the way down. And I put it on because it's flipping freezing here. So yeah, I wasn't gonna, it was all right with the dungarees on, it's nice and warm, but not without. So yeah. And coming up on my channel, the next thing you will see almost certainly is a vlog of what's new in my sewing room, because although I haven't been buying a lot, and certainly not kind of, you know, buying things every week, I have had a few things come in since the last time I did a kind of what's new in my sewing room. So I am going to do a vlog on that. So I've been overlocking this weekend so I can get those in the wash, because we've got a washing machine again. It's brilliant. So I will do a vlog on that before I start washing all this fabric. I'm looking, it's down here, a lot of it, and some of it's over there. And then I want to do make a start on a mini series about sewing overwhelm, because I've talked about sewing procrastination and I've talked about losing your sojo, but at the moment I'm kind of sitting looking around my sewing room and I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, but I've got some plans to tackle that. So what I'm going to do, I will do an introductory vlog talking about the various things that I think I need to fix my overwhelm, and then I will do vlogs about each of those, and then hopefully a wrap-up vlog in maybe a couple of months' time, so that we can see whether what I tried to put in place has actually worked or whether I'm still overwhelmed. So that's it from me for today. So I hope you enjoyed this vlog. If you are interested in making dungarees, honestly, I really recommend the Rileys. I think they're great. I hope you are getting some sewing done if you are in the mood to do so, and I'll see you all very soon in my next vlog. Bye for now.